Well, Dad stuffed his daughter's body in a bag and then took it to work, according to prosecutors. We're talking about the case against Adam Montgomery and Harmony Montgomery, his 5-year-old daughter, who passed in 2019. It took till 2021 or so till they actually realized, she's dead, which is a scary, scary thing, and very sad that there's that lack of community around this person, that this little girl was able to be missing until somebody finally said something. The murder trial of Adam Montgomery opened with shocking revelations this last week as prosecutors painted a grim picture of the 34-year-old New Hampshire father's alleged actions leading to the death of his 5-year-old daughter, Harmony Montgomery. Montgomery is facing charges including second-degree murder, abuse of a corpse, and falsifying physical evidence. He stands accused of the heinous crime that's left the community very much reeling. According to prosecutors, Montgomery's treatment of his daughter was nothing short of horrific, which he's actually admitted to. He's admitted to the abuse of a corpse allegations and such, but just not the actual action of killing the daughter. Allegations suggest that Montgomery's beat Harmony to death in a fit of rage, driven by her bathroom accidents in the family car, which were doubled as their home following the eviction. The prosecution claims that Montgomery then callously went about his day, indulging in fast food and drugs, while ignoring Harmony's cries of pain in the back seat. The most chilling revelation came from prosecutors detailing how Montgomery allegedly concealed Harmony's body day after day. Montgomery is accused of bringing Harmony's decomposing remains to a restaurant. I can't imagine if you ate there at the time, you feel very good about this, where he worked as a cook and a dishwasher, storing her decomposed body compressed in a tote bag in the freezer alongside the chicken wings.
Okay, you have a history of learning to be a chef.
Never worked in a restaurant, though.
Okay, but there are certain things that I see the violations. I live in Wisconsin, and our newspaper will print the violations of local area restaurants. So that's kind of how I decide where I'm going to do my fish fry on Friday nights, or not. But, they left the cover off of the lettuce in the refrigerator, that kind of thing. That'll get you a write-up. What kind of a write-up do you get if it's bring your dead daughter to work day and you stick her next to something in the freezer?
Apparently not much. Apparently that's like, is this cod or is this your daughter?
Can you imagine if the inspector showed up and there's a dead body in the freezer?
Well, that also kind of points another whole headline onto how poorly we take a look at these restaurants and actually inspect them. I mean, the restaurants are open to open inspections at any point in time. Quite often it needs to be triggered by something. But the fact that nobody at the restaurant realized, hey, there's a child in a duffel bag next to the frozen shrimp. I don't know. I mean, maybe if it's frozen, it doesn't smell. I've never dealt with a frozen body before. I mean, I guess it's like, I'm not trying to be grotesque or horrible here, but you have meat. I mean, I have frozen meat in my freezer and stuff, and it doesn't smell because it's frozen. So I would assume that a frozen body probably doesn't have a huge smell to it. Is my guess. I don't know.
It doesn't. I worked in the veterinary field for 8 years.
Yeah.
Dead bodies do not smell as long as they've been frozen. Now, he was carrying her to and from work. There had to be some thawing going on here.
Well, yeah, and there was actually talk in some of these affidavits. There's a 45-page affidavit on this case given by Kayla Montgomery that talks about, and I hate to go down this road with this because I really don't like to be grotesque on this case because it is so disturbing. But there is something on this where it does talk about the bag that she was in leaking. Which is, I mean, it's because the body's decomposing and you're going to get liquids out of a decomposing body. That's just how that works. And then it's like, oh shit, I should probably put her in the freezer. I mean, watching some of this testimony today, I watched some of the testimony of the uncle, who also seems like the dumbest fucking rock in the world. And he seems like another version of Adam. He looks like Adam even. And he has this like, oh, I don't know. Like, what the fuck happened to you? Like, how many times did you get dropped on your head as a child? I mean, or did you just really fuck up your life with a lot of drugs, which is probably really the reality of what happened here. But it's like, oh, well, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree here. And if this is the family that this man comes from, I'm not too surprised that his IQ is as fucking dim as it is.
Well, and you add in meth and whatever he was on.
Yeah.
They don't stand a chance. This child didn't stand a chance.
And then
I'm surprised Kayla's still alive.
Well, the thing is with all this, it's something that ran through my mind on this, and it's a really weird, horrible thing to think of. But it's like, I'm saying this with love and respect, but it's a weird fucking thing to think. Is like, was this child better off being dead than trying to live a life with these people navigating it as a child? Because I can only imagine the continued abuse she would have experienced, probably the trafficking she would have went into, the just utter, just horrid torture that she would have experienced had she continued to live. Was death and actually a better thing for this human being, considering the circumstances that she was in? Oh, now, had she been able to get out of those circumstances, had the system actually worked, had she actually been able to stay in the fucking foster home with somebody who cared about her and loved her, no, that would have been a much better place for her to be. But if the system was going to force her to be in the custody of these fucking monsters, was it better that she did pass? That she didn't have to endure a life of this torture that she was experiencing? I mean, it's such a weird, dark thing to think of, but I mean, it's kind of true. It's weird.
It's very true. And let me tell you something that a veterinarian that I highly respect that I worked with, I remember I was crying after a euthanasia, and I'm like, this shouldn't have happened. And it was just a bad situation. And she said, Stace, there are worse things than death.
Yeah.
And what she was alluding to was this animal had just had a torturous life and was in a lot of pain. And it wasn't that the people were doing anything horrible to it. It just wasn't thriving. It wasn't doing well. It was young. It had numerous diseases. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't happy. It wasn't thriving. And she said there are worse things than death. And for this kid, the dog, living under these circumstances was worse than a compassionate death. And her death, Harmony's, was not compassionate by any stretch.
No.
But when she finally did pass, thankfully her suffering and pain was over. And
that's how it's like, is there some light here in this? I mean, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But what was a better life, sitting and living in the backseat of this addict's car as she gets beat every day, and God knows what else would have happened of what she would have dealt with, of what he would have done with his daughter to get more money for drugs?
Correct.
I mean, it's easy to assume she would have been sold into like the sex trade very quickly, as he wanted more money for drugs or something. Yep. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, the correct answer would be the system should have worked. There was CPS involved. They failed miserably. As our system always does, and we do nothing to fix it because we're basing it on a 1970-something study that's fucking full of bullshit of everything is better if you're with the biological parent of who you were born with, which is utterly fucking insane and has so many flaws with it, but yet that's how we operate in our country with this bullshit study. It's, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, she was dealt such a shit hand that it's heartbreaking to say, but like, is death better for somebody at that point when you're going to live a life of abuse and torture and you have no choice in the matter, or are you better off dead? I don't know the answer to that, quite honestly. And
I think we do know the answer. I think as horrible as her actual death process probably was, the end result is better than her living in the back of a car for another 2 to 3 years, enduring this horrific treatment. Would it have been better if she were with somebody else, like you said? Absolutely.
Of course,
that would have been not happening.
Yeah. But the reality is she would have been there. She'd been raped by his friends for drug money. And it would have been like, and he wouldn't fucking give a shit because he has no conscience and he's fucking evil. So it's, what's the better outcome here? It's insane. Prosecutors painted a disturbing picture of Montgomery's actions following Harmony's death. Allegedly, Montgomery stored her lifeless body in a duffel bag of the trunk of his car, making preparations to dispose of her remains. Although not really at all. Like that's not a true statement. He did not make preparations to dispose of the body. He just kind of had it there forever. The prosecution claims Montgomery bought tools, rented a moving truck, all in an attempt to erase any evidence of the gruesome crime. This took months, though. This took the fucking duffel bag to be leaking. This took him buying lime and trying to put it into the duffel bag to hide the smell. How dumb are you? Like, you have a decomposing body in a duffel bag, and your solution is let's pour lime into the duffel bag?
Yeah.
Go bury it. Go do something. Do something respectable. Why are you carrying around this fucking duffel bag?
That speaks to his mental deficit. So
100%.
Was that, genetic? Was that a combination of the drugs and genetics? Was it, who knows what it was? But this is not a bright individual. Well,
looking at the uncle, he's IQ of 70 probably. I mean, and like, he looks like him. He's like just a fucking idiot. And it's such a mental deficit that it's like, I'm sorry, what's the purpose of you living amongst us anymore? In defense, Montgomery's attorney argued that his client did not harm Montgomery and instead accused Montgomery's estranged wife, Kayla Montgomery, of fabricating the events to protect herself. Kayla, who is serving a sentence for perjury, is expected to testify against Montgomery, which she has been, further complicating the trial. They're both idiots. They're both complete scumbuckets of the earth. I hope they both get shanked in prison. Quite honestly, like you people like, pray for this, pray for that. I pray that these people are eliminated from the planet so they don't have to push any more of their insanity towards anyone else and harm anyone else in any way, shape, or form, including those who are already incarcerated, because these are just the lowest of the low. They're not even human because they don't look at others as human, so we shouldn't look at them as human because I don't really feel like they are. There's just such a low level of thinking here. I mean, our pets are more humane than these people supposedly are as parents.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And as we know, the prison population pretty much eliminates people like this. So I think you'll get your wish.
And whoever does it, guess what? You win $100 in your canteen, courtesy of True Crime Today.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on True Crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.
And I should say I really can't do that because that would be insinuating I would actually do that. I'd love to, but I'll get charged, so I can't give $100 to your canteen. But believe me, in spirit, I would. So there you go.